Hey, I'm Frank Duran at Boston Comic Con 2014 for Real Book Store and Batman Podcast, and I'm excited to be talking with Yale Stewart once again.
Hey guys.
How's your con gone?
It's gone really, really well. I think most people would agree that the show itself has been a lot busier than we all anticipated it.
Yeah, it's massive.
I generally like to get up and walk around a little bit, but whenever I would try, I would just run smack into a wall of people. So I've kind of been, admittedly, getting a little antsy because I've kind of been trapped back here most of the show. Although it has died down now, but no, it's been a really good show. A lot of cool people, a lot of talented people. Saw some really impressive sketchbooks from up and coming people. So yeah, I'd call it a success.
That's awesome. So you, how's JL8 been going for you? Been happy with your work you've been doing on that?
I mean, it's actually, I'm happy with it, but admittedly, it is one of those things where I have noticed a legitimate downtick in fan interaction stuff, and I'm sure that some of it has to do with the fact that the strip is very much not focusing on Batman. I guess it's becoming a real book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the people who have been reading it still actively do seem to really like it. I have faith that it's going to all sort of pan out, and people will appreciate what I've been doing with it. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. When it finally shifts back to Karen and Bruce's thing, if the activity picks back up, or maybe I've just overstayed my welcome. I don't know.
No, I think you had a genius idea. Were you ever a Boy Scout? Because I love.
I actually wasn't. Both of my younger brothers were, and my dad was. And I've had really good friends who were Boy Scouts. But for whatever reason, I never, it didn't even come up.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why, but no, I myself was never a Boy Scout, but I've been around it long enough, and you don't even really need to be it's so ingrained into just American pop culture, at least ideas of it. There's at least a ethereal stereotype that exists about how it must be, or whatever.
Well, as a boy, as a guy who grew up as a Boy Scout, I was really oh my God, the Green Lanterns are Boy Scouts. It made me I don't know. It's fun because I'm a huge fan of Green Lantern.
Obviously.
And just to see them leveled, brought to realism per se, kind of really worked.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. I mean, I do remember when the idea came to me, and again, it was one of those things it felt really obvious, so I wasn't super impressed with myself, but it was one of those things where I was that's definitely the way to go with that kind of a thing. So yeah, I mean, people seem to respond really well to it, and I'm obviously I'm glad that it kind of struck that chord. So
now I read your Nova backup, I really enjoyed that.
What? I didn't write that.
You didn't write that?
No, Jerry Dugan was actually the guy that wrote it. All I had to do was draw the thing, but no, it seemed to get a fairly positive response, which is kind of tough with just 2 pages. There's really not a lot of material there to work with.
It was cool to see your Nova. As much as we see as much as all your Justice League, it was cool to see some Marvel. Is there going to be more Marvel in the future? Or?
I really don't know. I don't think it's necessarily supposed to be kept a secret. They have kind of expressed some interest in me, but they've also explicitly said they just really don't know where they would put me, or whatever, which is understandable. So yeah, it's nice to know that they think I'm worth keeping an eye on, but there isn't anything super lined up where it's oh yeah, I'm going to be taking over the Spider-Man books or something. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that.
Cool. With the more professional work, I think that you have a style that could work well for covers. Have you done any cover work before?
I've done some stuff for Boom.
Nice.
I did that Adventure Time variant for the Flip Side. I think it was issue number 5. That was a lot of fun. I did another I'm not even sure if it was a variant. I did another cover for Boom that I'm not sure if they're even going to end up using. Which is fine. I mean, that happens. I got paid for it, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that those are the only 2 covers I've done professionally, anyway. But no, they're fun. I mean, I'm not much of a pinup guy.
No?
And, like, or at least I don't think I am. And that's essentially what covers have become. And, you know, like, you can argue that to death. But, like, it's just a fact. You know, like, for me, I think that my stuff just, I'm better at telling stories than making, like, a really cool drawing. And so I think that my cover work probably leaves a little bit to be desired. I'm sure I could get better if I was forced to do a bunch of them. But yeah, I'm happy just doing the sequential stuff for the time being.
Yeah, last con you said you wanted to do longer stories, and I feel like this camping story is definitely your longer story. Is that what you were going for with this? Because like you've done like the kind of like birthday story and stuff like that, but this seems much longer.
No, I don't think so. I think the birthday arc still takes the cake. That's gonna seem like that was intentional. That wasn't intentional. I mean, I guess if you look at the grand scheme of it, because technically you have the like going back to school after my hiatus or whatever, the making of the bet, everything leading up to that, then the camping trip, then you're gonna have the date. Like all that, I guess technically is all one storyline.
Yeah.
So I guess in theory, yes, it will end up being my biggest thing. But like if you're just looking at the camping trip itself, I don't think it's going to be near. I mean, it's getting long, but it started at like maybe 167 or something. And like right now, the strip is at 183. So that's only 20 strips.
Yeah.
Which to some people feels like a lot, but compared to how long the birthday arc lasted, I mean, that lasted essentially from like 59 to like 133.
Wow, I didn't realize. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's only like a quarter of the length of the birthday so far, and the camping trip itself, I do not see it going for another 60 strips. We're about to get into the kind of like nitty gritty of it pretty soon, and it's not something that has like a lot of like really subtle character stuff. Like it's pretty much going to be like bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
So it should resolve itself relatively quickly, as opposed to like the constant back and forth and like, oh, he thinks this, she thinks that of the birthday arc. So we'll see how it goes.
So speaking about that, process-wise, how far ahead are you in the story? Because I mean, you post these, but like, how far ahead are you story-wise?
It kind of depends on how you define it. Like in terms of story concepts, very far.
Yeah.
In terms of like actual script and stuff, I basically do that the day that I actually write the comic. So it kind of goes like I'll have really broad plot ideas that I'll have written down that could theoretically be like the next 10 years worth of content.
Wow.
And then I choose the most upcoming one, and then I'll try and like break that down into like the major plot points. And then from there, I'll kind of like tackle each of those points as I do each strip the day of. So it's like really tight. I'm only like a day ahead of myself, and then it just kind of like just like diffuses the further you get, but like there's still stuff there. So it's kind of complicated,
Yeah.
but I think that most people would understand what I'm saying.
That's great to like know. So where can we find everything Yale Stewart and JL?
Just Google it, really, because I mean it lives on so many different websites.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a pick your poison type thing. I like to push the Facebook page just because it's the easiest way for like fan interaction and stuff. It has like the best user interface for stuff like that. Tumblr is difficult for something like that. And the Facebook is facebook.com/JL8comic_LOL. And then the Tumblr is jl8comic.tumblr.com. But yeah, and then there are like just kind of other websites out there that exist that have like compiled them into more traditional webcomic format pages and stuff. So yeah, I mean, like I don't really care where you read it as long as you read it and enjoy it. So, you know, find it wherever you can and get down with your bad self. I don't know.
Well, we really enjoy reading it. We really thank you again for another great interview, and I hope you have a great rest of the hour of the con. And
Yeah,
hope to
man.
see you next year.
Yeah, good talking to you again, and thanks for stopping back by.
Thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure.